Hello, this is Ensign Abby, and this is February 8th, 2012, and I was just making another review to let you all know what I've been up to in the last couple of months. And I know I haven't done a review in a while, but basically what's been going on in my life, at least in the world of Doctor Who, is that I have been putting the whole marathon of Classic Who on hold for the time being. I was going through the whole Tom Baker era, and I also went through Doctor Six and Doctor Seven as well. I watched a couple episodes of them, and then I went back and was trying to watch as many of them in order as possible. So I went back to Doctor Hartnell and checked out a whole bunch of season one of Classic Who, and was watching a bunch of Hartnell episodes. And I do really enjoy William Hartnell. It's sort of funny. I said this to my husband the other day that whenever William Hartnell laughs, he actually reminds me a lot of Yoda. He's like, "Oh, my dear boy, oh, hee, oh." He cracks me up, but not necessarily because he's hilarious. It's just him in general. Like his person is hilarious because it's so ridiculous. So I put that on hold simply because I was incurring a lot of fines at the library because I'd check out all these DVDs and then not return them for several weeks. Ended up having to pay about $23 in fines just so I can check out DVDs again. So that's on hold. However, with New Who, I do have a friend that me and another girlfriend of mine we convinced her to start watching Doctor Who for the first time. She's into a lot of other British shows, so we thought, well, maybe I know she's not into sci-fi necessarily, but if we can convince her to kind of wander into Doctor Who. So we've been going through the first season every Saturday night, going through one or two episodes, and then moving on next week. So far, we just finished the first episode with Satellite 5, and she seems to be really enjoying Christopher Eccleston. She really likes him because she finds him to be very charming and kind of funny. And she picked up on the whole Dr. Rose relationship very quickly. And in fact, she was starting to grill us for information. She's like, "Tell me, do those two become an item? Are they in a relationship? What's going on with this? Does she become his girlfriend?" And I don't want to tell her any of that. Only 6 or 7 episodes in, that's not fair. So I had to just sit there and keep my mouth shut. I'm like, "You'll see, you'll see, you'll see." While on the inside, I was like, "Dang it, I'm so sad." It's going to be interesting how she reacts to parting of the ways, though, when Eccleston regenerates into David Tennant. Because she wanted to know more about how the show started and how they brought back the New Who. And so I brought out one of my guides to Doctor Who, and it actually happened to have the 10th Doctor, David Tennant, on the cover. And so she pointed at it, and she's like, "Usually when I hear about Doctor Who, this is the guy that I usually see." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's David Tennant." And she's like, "Oh, goodness." She's like, "I really don't want to know if I want to watch the show if Eccleston leaves because I really like him. And, I've seen other David Tennant things, and I don't really like him as an actor." And I stopped. I do not understand. I'm not necessarily. Okay, I do crush on him a little bit, but I'm married, so. Anyways, I don't understand anyone can say, "Oh, I don't like his acting." Who doesn't like his acting? So we tried to convince her, "Don't worry, don't worry. Once season two starts, you'll totally like him. He's not the same in every single role that he plays, and he's different as the Doctor, and he's awesome." So we're really crossing our fingers because season two is one of my favorite seasons. I, I'm kind of a relentless Dr. Rose shipper, and I didn't necessarily come into Doctor Who's thinking, "Oh yeah, I want to, find a really good relationship to start writing fanfic about." But that's kind of what happened. In the last couple months, I've already written a couple of Dr. Rose travels, more specifically Meta Crisis 10 and Rose travels, simply because I just love the idea of them doing everyday domestic things and how he would react to those things. So that's all Doctor Who. Um, been getting into Sherlock recently. I mean, I watched season two and we made a big deal out of it. Dan and I would pop up popcorn and we'd uh, play it, and it got really exciting there. I mean, it was just brilliant. Like especially the very first episode, Scandal in Belgravia. It was everything you could possibly hope for it to be after 18 months. It was exciting and funny, and they addressed what they had been up to, and they showed the passage of time, and they saw, you saw a deepening of relationships. It was perfect. And the Hounds of Baskerville, and then the Fall of Rockenbach. That was it was better than anything that I could have imagined. And Dan and I went to go see the movie version of Sherlock Holmes Game of Shadows recently. And although I was happy enough to see them back, because I did really enjoy the first movie, I was really kind of. I was entertained, but I was disappointed also in Game of Shadows. It just seemed that they kind of picked the things that really made the first Sherlock Holmes cool, and then just kept doing that over and over again. Um, like, oh, let's see, he does a really good fight scene when he does the slow mo and he predicts how his fights are going to end. Let's do that 3 times in a row. We're really good at the Guy Ritchie fight scenes. Let's do those a billion times in a row. It seemed like Sherlock's deductions were put in the background. And Dan pointed out, well, they already established that he does that in the first movie, so they didn't necessarily have to bring that up again in this movie. I'm like, but that's who he is. He deducts and notices the small things all the flippin' time. The audience needs to be aware of that also. Um, the relationship between Sherlock and Watson too. I don't know if you noticed, but it seemed to kind of wander in and out throughout the movie. There was certain points where I felt, oh well, yeah, there's the Watson and Sherlock that I remember from the first movie. They're great. And then, during that one scene, when Watson thought Sherlock was dead and he got kind of emotional for a second. That was great. A little bit of their playful banter that they had at the very beginning, that was great. But there were certain times where I didn't really feel that there was really any emotional connection between the two characters. It was just two characters on an amazing, daring adventure, but not really Watson and Sherlock. Especially since there was this beginning of the scene where Sherlock goes and is a bit of an ass, like always, and pisses off Watson, and Watson's like, well, F you, I'm not dealing with this, I'm gonna go off and do this. So they're both kind of jerks to each other. Then after that, they never really say, I forgive you, or let's bring this up, or what does this mean to our relationship now that you're married? None of that is addressed. It didn't seem like there was any characterization in that point. I don't know, the whole movie kind of seemed like it was almost there, but it wasn't. Moriarty just didn't seem like he was great, but he didn't seem as menacing as he should have been. Maybe it's because I've been spoiled rotten by Moriarty on Sherlock. He is brilliant. If you're gonna talk about someone being smart and insane, Moriarty from the TV show Sherlock is so much better. Um, so out of this, I decided I was also going to start reading Sherlock Holmes again. I have a couple of old bound complete Sherlock Holmes books that my dad gave me that used to be part of his collection when he was a kid. So they were actually printed in 1930, and you can tell they've been read over a million times. There's watermarks on them. The pages are brittle. It's awesome. I love old books. Um, so he used to read me these stories. He read me A Letter in Scarlet, The Sign of Four, when I was younger. And then I remember in middle school reading A Scandal in Bohemia and The Red-Headed League. And I do believe I might have read The Hounds of Baskerville. And I just thought they were all brilliant as a little kid. But I thought, well, now that I'm watching all these shows, it'd be best for me to maybe go back and read them again, and read all the stories all over again, and kind of see how it takes me as an adult. And so far, I've just been blown away. absolutely blown away by how awesome Sir Arthur Conan Doyle is. I mean, it's one thing for Sherlock to be brilliant and deduce all these things from these cases, but how do you go about even setting up the case? Like, let's figure out who these people are, how they murdered these people, and then now that we've got the entire murder set up, let's work backwards and figure out how Sherlock discovers these pieces and what each pieces mean and how they can tie into the final story. I mean, so like Arthur Conan Doyle must have been an absolute genius himself in order to write these things. It's awesome. So that's kind of what I'm into. And wow. Anyways, other than that, I've just been getting ready to graduate here. I just finished my final thesis paper so I can graduate with my psychology degree, and getting ready to start paying my loans. So, and yeah, I guess that's what I'm up to. I guess this is not really a geeky thing, but online the other day we saw these brilliant pictures of people who turned suitcases into chairs. They took like old hard-covered suitcases and put cushions in them and legs on them. And my husband saw it, and him just being the artist that he is, he saw it and says, I can totally do that. And so what does he do the next day? He goes and finds a suitcase and starts working on making a chair. I don't know if you can see this, but he made an actual little chair, and it's right there. If you can see it right here. He bought a little green suitcase, and he's still working on it. He's putting the cushions in still currently, but he is actually working on one, and it looks brilliant when there's actually decent lighting. But that's what we're up to right now. If you're willing to answer a question, feel free to argue with me. What did you think of Sherlock Game of Shadows? Did you like it? Did you think that the characterization was spot on? Or did you think it was horrible? Let me know why in the comments section. I would love to get some feedback. Also, if you think that I'm rambling too long, or that you can't see me, or I'm too loud, or any of that jazz, anything that would help me improve my vlog, let me know. Anyways, I will see you later. Mahalo and aloha.